Intimacy of touch with moon in Shatabhisha Nakshatra, touched with love and nurturing at physical, mental, and emotional levels. That's the moon in Shatabhisha. Touch is a mystery before it becomes medicine. It is not instinctive. It is observed, decoded, and then allowed. You don't rush toward physical contact. You investigate it, sense its integrity, and only then open to it. For you, touch must carry the weight of emotional intelligence and energetic precision, or it doesn't land. Shatabhisha, ruled by Varuna, the god of cosmic law and hidden truths, creates a moon that is part seer, part skeptic. You feel what others conceal. You intuit the tension behind their hands, the unsaid in their closeness. As a result, you're deeply sensitive to why someone touches you, not just how. You don't need constant affection. You need clarity within connection. Touch, for you, becomes intimate only when it's backed by emotional honesty and psychic cleanliness. A partner who touches you while still harboring unspoken conflict? You'll feel the dissonance immediately. But someone who reaches for you in stillness, with presence, and without agenda, you melt quietly and completely. You are more likely to respond to intentional, still, or spatially aware touch, like the warmth of someone sitting beside you in silence, or a hand that lands gently on your shoulder after a long conversation. You need time to map emotional safety in the body before letting closeness in. This doesn't mean you are distant. It means your nervous system trusts truth more than tenderness. When attuned, you can be remarkably healing through touch. Your presence calms the scattered, soothes the overwhelmed. You don't cling, you stabilize. But you also don't tolerate intrusions. Random touch, high emotional voltage, or pushy closeness can feel invasive. You close off, not in anger, but in protective recalibration. In relationships, you're the one who creates space with boundaries and depth. You may have physical rituals that ground your connection. A quiet arm link when walking, subtle hand pressure in emotionally intense moments, or long cuddles that feel like energetic realignment rather than obligation. To deepen this intimacy, say, I open to touch that feels intentional, emotionally transparent, and clean in energy. I close when it's chaotic or performative. Or physical affection doesn't need to be constant. It needs to be conscious. And allow yourself to be touched before you've analyzed the entire emotional field. Let someone's steady affection in, even if your mind is still scanning for pattern. Let your body remember that some things don't need solving, they just need receiving. Because when touch becomes not pressure, but permission to be fully seen, when it arrives with respect for your internal mystery, your Shatabhisha moon finds the intimacy it truly thrives in, a love that says, I won't try to fix your stillness. I will enter it with care. I'll meet your mind with space and your body with truth. Intimacy of sensate with moon in Shatabhisha Nakshatra. To be heard, seen, tasted, smelled at physical sensory levels. With the moon in Shatabhisha, sensory intimacy is not about indulgence. It is about subtle precision. You don't need to be overwhelmed with beauty, sound, or touch. You need to feel that what enters your senses is intentional, real, and energetically aligned. For you, to be truly seen or heard means being witnessed beneath the surface. Not flattered, not managed, but known. Ruled by Varuna, the deity of universal law and hidden realms, Shatabhisha gifts you with a moon that filters sensory input like a scanner, discerning patterns, distortions, and silent truths. You don't just hear the tone of someone's voice, you hear the hesitation behind it. You don't just observe facial expression, you see what's being withheld. That's why superficial attention, hollow compliments, or chaotic environments can leave you feeling energetically unsafe. You are most intimate with sensory signals that match internal truth. A voice that resonates calmly with intention. A gaze that lingers not out of intensity, but recognition. A room arranged with thoughtful clarity. Even silence, when it is present and unafraid, feels more sensual to you than clamor. You give the same level of refined sensory presence in return. You're the one who speaks only when it matters, who chooses texture, scent, or timing with understated precision. You might surprise a partner by recalling a fleeting moment they thought you missed, a small change in tone, a shift in mood. That is your gift. Emotional pattern recognition through the body and field. But when what you sense is inconsistent, if someone's words don't match their eyes, or they touch you while emotionally fragmented, you shut down. Not rudely, but quietly and decisively. Your moon will not receive what it doesn't trust. If the sensory field is noisy, invasive, or emotionally dishonest, you step back into your cocoon of clarity. To deepen intimacy, say, I feel closest when I sense emotional coherence. Let what you show me match what you mean. Or, I don't need dramatic gestures. I need your presence to feel clean, calm, and real. And allow yourself to be received through the senses, even if it feels vulnerable. Let someone's gaze rest on you without hiding. Let them name your softness without overthinking it. Let sensory presence become an invitation to rest, not a stimulus to brace against. Because when sensory intimacy becomes not stimulation but energetic transparency, your Shatabhisha moon finds the closeness it was built for. A connection that says, I don't just want to sense you, I want to understand you, and I'll meet you at your most subtle frequencies, where your truth begins. Intimacy of kindness with moon in Shatabhisha Nakshatra. Approach should always be one of kindness and compassion, giving each other space to be individual and unique, yet caring and nurturing. With the moon in Shatabhisha, kindness is non-invasive compassion. You don't trust grand emotional displays, you trust clarity, consistency, and clean-heartedness. Kindness for you isn't about affection that floods the system. It's about holding space without interfering. About giving warmth that doesn't ask you to soften too soon, and care that doesn't need to be noticed to be real. Shatabhisha, ruled by Varuna, the cosmic observer and guardian of moral order, imbues your emotional body with an intuitive radar for energetic integrity. You know the difference between care and control. You sense when kindness comes with strings, and you recoil. What you truly long for is a partner whose kindness gives freedom, someone who sees your internal complexity and doesn't flinch. You feel safest with people who let you unfold on your own terms. You may take time to reveal yourself. You're layered, private, deeply internal. But when someone offers quiet encouragement, shows up reliably without demanding emotional display, and treats your individuality with reverence, you begin to exhale. You trust kindness that comes with emotional neutrality and patience, not pressure. You give this same style of kindness in return. You're not always verbal, but you're fiercely observant. You might make small adjustments that others never notice, leaving space for someone's silence, shielding their energy without needing credit, offering insight exactly when it's needed. Your compassion is often expressed through emotional containment and psychic accuracy, not soft language or hugs. What wounds your trust is when someone tries to rush your healing or fix your feelings. When kindness becomes performance, or when it's used to bypass real emotional labor, your moon detaches. You don't want caretaking, you want co-regulation. You don't need to be saved, you need to be met. To deepen this intimacy, say, I open to care that honors my pace. Kindness, to me, is space, listening, and trust, not emotional intensity. Or, you don't have to solve me. Just stay present while I align myself. And allow yourself to receive kindness even when it's unasked. Let someone tend to you without suspicion. Let them bring softness into the room without needing to explain it. Let their compassion be a quiet mirror of your own. Because when kindness becomes not sentiment, but stabilizing presence, your Shatabhisha moon finds the intimacy it was made for. A love that says, you don't need to perform your vulnerability. I'll care for you even in your quietest form, even when you're invisible to others. I see you, and I stay. Intimacy of growth with moon and Shatabhisha Nakshatra, allowing each to grow at their own pace, yet being self-honoring by allowing themselves to be loved and nurtured, even if it means with other partners. With the moon in Shatabhisha, growth is a private evolution before it becomes a shared one. You expand not through external validation, but through deep internal recalibration. Your emotional system is wired to seek clarity, solitude, and higher awareness, and anyone who tries to rush, define, or confine your growth will feel like a threat to your soul's rhythm. Shatabhisha, ruled by Varuna, the cosmic enforcer of truth and order, imbues your moon with a deep inner integrity. You need room to question, to withdraw, to unravel patterns and reconstruct meaning. And for intimacy to feel real, your growth must be witnessed without being managed. You grow most when your partner offers emotional non-interference, when they say, I don't need to understand this right now. I just trust that you're becoming. You also offer this kind of freedom in return. You don't cling to a version of someone, you observe them as they change. You're capable of respecting growth that diverges from your own, especially if it is authentic and clearly communicated. You don't fear change, you fear disharmony cloaked in silence. As long as truth is present, even non-traditional relationships or redefinitions of closeness can be held in your emotional field. You may go through periods of isolation or inner dismantling, emotional detoxes where the old self must be shed before the next self arrives. And in those moments, what you need is non-demanding presence. Someone who knows how to hold the void with you, rather than pressuring you to reappear too soon. But if your growth is met with control, or if a partner resists their own transformation, your moon begins to fragment. You will protect your sovereignty, even if it means withdrawing entirely. You would rather be alone than be loved in a way that stifles your freedom to become. To deepen this intimacy, say, growth doesn't always look graceful for me. It's often internal and quiet, but it's real, and I open most when I'm trusted in that. Or, I'll honor your evolution if it's honest. Just don't hide it. I can hold more than you think. And allow yourself to be loved in your liminal phases. You don't have to emerge fully formed. Let someone stand with you in your unknowns. Let intimacy exist not in knowing who you are, but in honoring the truth that you're in the process of remembering. Because when growth becomes not separation, but sacred unfolding, your Shatabhisha moon finds the intimacy it truly needs. A love that says, you don't owe me constancy, you owe yourself truth, and I will stay present through your shifts, not to shape them, but to witness you becoming more of yourself. Intimacy of activity with moon in Shatabhisha Nakshatra, to be honoring of oneself and the other, in what and with whom they want to participate in activities without force or compulsion. With the moon in Shatabhisha, activity is ritualized space, not obligation. You don't participate to fit in, prove your love, or follow tradition. You engage when something feels meaningful, energetically clean, and inwardly resonant. Your inner compass is highly sensitive, and you need to feel emotionally congruent with the activity, or your system begins to close off. Ruled by Varuna, the deity of universal laws and unseen forces, Shat imbues your emotional body with a strong boundary between authentic presence and unconscious performance. You might be highly capable in group settings, efficient in partnerships, or focused in solitude, but for intimacy to grow, your participation must be a choice, not a compromise. You don't mind doing things apart from your partner. In fact, you often thrive when each person has independent spheres of focus. But when you choose to move together, whether it's a project, a shared ritual, or a quiet meal, it must carry the feeling of energetic truth. Even the smallest joint activity becomes sacred when there's mutual awareness. A walk in silence, a shared look during chores, a synchronized pause before bed. If an activity is forced, emotionally unclear, or energetically chaotic, your moon instinctively shuts down. You may physically comply, but emotionally retreat. You require internal alignment to be fully present, and if your partner doesn't understand that, it can create confusion. You're not rejecting them. You're refusing to betray your inner field. You're also protective of how you spend your time. You don't like frivolous busyness or emotionally charged chaos. You crave spaces where consciousness is honored, where the doing carries meaning. You're drawn to causes, structures, or movements that reflect your philosophical values or bring healing into the world. In that context, you become incredibly loyal, focused, and devoted. To deepen intimacy, say, I need to feel aligned before I engage. I don't want to be forced. I want to be invited, with presence. Or, even if I don't join every time, know that I care more when I choose to show up. That's when I'm truly here. And allow yourself to try new rhythms. Let activity stretch you beyond your intellectual preference. Let your partner's joy sometimes lead the day. You don't have to resonate with the why, just with the trust between you. Because when activity becomes not obligation but shared energetic agreement, your Shatabhisha moon finds the intimacy it was meant to hold. A love that says, we don't have to do everything together, but when we choose to move in rhythm, I will meet you fully and freely without compromise or pressure, just presence. Intimacy of allowance with Moon and Shatabhisha Nakshatra. To allow each to be who and what they are at any given moment, day or week of their life, knowing that one is not a master or slave of another. With the Moon and Shatabhisha, allowance is not a luxury. It's a necessity for emotional survival. You are fiercely autonomous, inwardly complex, and often cycling through internal healing, rewiring, or energetic recalibration. For intimacy to feel safe, you must be allowed to disappear without being abandoned, to go still without being questioned, and to be fully yourself without being corrected. Ruled by Varuna, the cosmic guardian of truth and the unseen, Shatabhisha gives you a moon that is not reactive, but deeply observant. You often keep parts of yourself cloaked, not to be deceptive, but to maintain internal harmony. You unfold slowly on your terms. And if someone tries to force closeness before you're ready, your emotional gates quietly seal. You are not emotionally unavailable. You are protectively selective. You share when it's safe, when the frequency is clean, when you feel seen as whole, not interpreted or fixed. What you long for most is a partner who understands that freedom is not separation, it is sacred pacing. You want love that says, I trust your silences, I trust your shadows, I don't need to interpret you to walk beside you. You offer this same spaciousness to others. You rarely judge people's inner process. You hold space for messiness, transformation, contradiction. You listen more than you react. But your boundary is clear. Truth must be present. You can hold anything except manipulation or dishonesty cloaked in spiritual language. Allowance must come with accountability. In relationships, you thrive when you are allowed to move at your own pace, speak when it's real, withdraw when needed, and return when ready, without guilt. You are most intimate with people who don't panic when your energy shifts, who know that when you are quiet, you are often most connected to truth. To deepen this intimacy, say, sometimes I need time in my inner world. Please don't take that as distance. It's how I stay aligned. Or, I won't always move the way you expect, but I'm always listening. Let's honor each other's timing. And allow yourself to be embraced in your in-between states. Let someone be with you when you're not fully on, not fully expressive. Let your pauses be understood as part of your rhythm, not disruptions to it. Because when allowance becomes not detachment, but sacred permission to be fully self-directed, your Shatabhisha moon finds the intimacy it has always guarded space for. A love that says, I will not rush your opening. I will not fear your quiet. I will stand beside the truth of who you are, no matter how long it takes to unfold. Intimacy of giving with Moon and Shatabhisha Nakshatra, knowing and being that all love originates in the act of giving, safety of space, nurturing, and caring. With the Moon and Shatabhisha, giving is a sacred transmission, not a transaction. You don't give for validation, obligation, or control. You give when your inner clarity aligns with outer need. Your love is offered quietly, energetically, and often invisibly. You give by holding space, by protecting truth, by staying anchored while others unravel. You are not flashy in your care. You are astute, devoted, and vibrationally precise. Shatabhisha, ruled by Varuna, brings the power of cosmic law and subtle healing into your emotional body. Your giving is like medicine, targeted, timely, and deeply effective, though rarely obvious. You might sense your partner's emotional depletion before they name it. You may offer silence instead of advice, solitude instead of sympathy, or insight that arrives exactly when it's needed most. Your nurturing is often misunderstood by those seeking traditional expressions of affection, but those who truly know you recognize that your giving is energetically clean. You don't overextend. You don't give to fix. You give from a place of inner wholeness, not rescue. Still, your giving is not endless. If your care is mishandled, if your silence is mistaken for apathy, if your generosity is expected without acknowledgement, your moon withdraws. Not in resentment, but in quiet preservation. You give from choice, not compulsion. If you are pushed, your energy recedes and you return to your inner sanctuary. At your best, your giving looks like sitting beside someone in total quiet, letting them regulate without commentary. Offering healing truths, not soothing lies. Doing the hard inner work so your field stays calm for those you love. To deepen intimacy, say, my care doesn't always look obvious, but it's deliberate, devoted, and vibrationally present. Or, I give best when I'm not forced, when I'm trusted to offer what's needed, not what's expected. And allow yourself to give without perfection. Let your care be awkward, raw, imperfectly timed. Let your love come through even when you're tired. Let yourself offer energy in small doses without fearing it's not enough. Because when giving becomes not performance, but energetic alignment with presence, your Shatabhisha Moon finds the intimacy it was born to create, a love that says, I don't give to be seen. I give to uphold the truth between us. Quietly, clearly, without demand, because that's what real care requires. Intimacy of receiving with Moon and Shatabhisha Nakshatra. Knowing and being that intimacy is an act of receiving with gratitude and originates in the inner feeling of being abundant in giving, receiving another at all levels, physical, emotional, and mental. With the Moon in Shatabhisha, receiving is a sacred threshold, one you cross not lightly but with discernment. You do not receive automatically. You scan, filter, and calibrate what's offered. You need to feel that what is being given comes from energetic purity, not performance or pressure. For you, receiving is not about allowing help. It's about recognizing truth in the offering. Ruled by Varuna, the cosmic observer and holder of hidden truths, your emotional body is designed to feel the frequency behind every gift, word, or touch. You may not always show your vulnerability on the surface, but you feel everything. And for you to receive something fully, it must feel clean, free from expectation, agenda, or emotional distortion. You don't respond to grand gestures unless they carry emotional coherence. You don't open to affection if the energy behind it feels unresolved. You don't let someone take care of you just because they want to feel needed. You need to feel that the giver has met themselves first, that their offering isn't coming from projection, but from presence. When you do open, you receive deeply. You let a word echo in your chest for days. You let a hand on your shoulder bring calm to your whole nervous system. You take the gesture into your quiet world and let it nourish you invisibly. You don't always show how much it means, but you absorb it with reverence. You are capable of great gratitude, but you are also protective. If you sense entanglement or emotional noise, your system says no, even if your mind says yes. That's not avoidance. It's energetic self-respect. To deepen this intimacy, say, I receive best when what's given feels emotionally honest and energetically grounded. I don't need it to be big, I need it to be clear. Or, if I hesitate to receive, it's not rejection, it's because I'm attuning. And allow yourself to receive before it feels completely safe. Let someone offer love even while you're scanning for alignment. Let their care soften your system slowly. Let your gratitude exist silently at first. Then open with time. Because when receiving becomes not surrender but energetic attunement, your Shatabhisha Moon finds the intimacy it was made for. A love that says, I don't need you to be ready in my way. I only want to offer you what's real. And when you receive it fully, slowly, on your terms, that's when I know we are truly connected.